evening and welcome to a special Island Stat Sports Talk. I'm speaking with Bermuda's Female Athlete of the Year, Jessica Lewis, as well as Elliot Loomstroff, from a para-athlete from Aruba, and his coach, Luciano, who is also from Argentina. Is that correct?
Yeah.
There you go. Got it right. Well, we've started some conversations regarding the challenges of para-athlete tonight. Before we came on the air, I was referring to the difficulties that our Jessica Lewis faces, that the challenge that she has whilst in Bermuda, not having anybody to compete against in her field. And of course, Elliot, you face the same challenges in Aruba. Give us a sense of what it's been like for you, and the fact that you actually won a medal at the Parapan Games.
Yep.
Was it?
No, it was the qualifications for the Paralympics. I think it was. We got the second place there, and I think one other place, but I can't recall off the top of my head right now.
Not a problem. But what are the challenges you face being in Aruba, from Aruba, as probably the only athlete in your field, in your class, the struggle you would have in, let alone finding competitors to train with and fight?
I think the biggest, that's the major one, the ability to fight against someone. Because, for example, in Taekwondo, we have, in the regular Taekwondo and para-Taekwondo, there's different sets of rules. For example, in regular, you can kick in the head, and in para, you can't, because you might cause a seizure or something, and nobody wants that kind of stuff to happen. But because of that, like, for example, I can try and practice with people that fight regular, but they can exploit the openings that I don't think about, and they'll automatically go and kick me in the head. And because we don't have that as a point system in our point system, you're not used to it. So you could get hurt by accident. You could be in training, and then suddenly now you're on the floor because you got kicked in the head, even though you weren't supposed to. And because of that, it really makes you realize the importance of having somebody that's from the same category or has a similar disability to work with you. And then also you can adapt with them, versus people that are regular. It's been so ingrained how they're training that they're used to it, that when you're asking them to stop doing something, it's kind of like being like, don't do what you've been told to do instinctually your entire career.
Right.
Don't do that.
Yes.
It becomes difficult for them too, and it becomes frustrating, not just for yourself, but for them as well.
Before I go to Jess, Luciano, how difficult is it having a single athlete finding time to ensure the athlete that they're on the right track, but no competition to prove it to themselves on a regular basis in Aruba?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult. Another thing I want to add, what Elliot said, even he don't have a senior male on the same weight to fight the regular Taekwondo. So it's way more difficult for us to do that. So what we had to do is just to fight with people who has, for example, he was fighting with Monica Pimentel. She went to the Olympics. It's a girl, and it's like more than 20 kilos different. So it's not the same. But we had to do what we have. We have to work with what we have. So we focus mostly on technicals and also on the gym. We train 2 times a day, 5 days a week. Besides para taekwondo, also we have started training para athletics, javelin and shot put. So it's way more pressure on him, on me too. But he's the only one who can have the possibility or the options to go to Tokyo. We don't have a backup plan. We don't have another person who's fighting for a place, and no sport in Paralympics. So we are the only ones, like happened in Lima 2019. We were the only ones there too. So it's a lot of pressure and a lot of psychological pressure mostly. We're working on. Also, we had to work on that. By the way, Elliot started to do it para taekwondo in 2018. 2018, he went directly. The first tournament was a Pan American Taekwondo tournament. The second was a World Championship. And the third one was another Pan American Taekwondo, and he was bronze. So on the third tournament, he got bronze.
That's right. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That's what I was
And
forgetting.
yeah. And
And you
Mexico
win so many
Open
medals,
was
it's
bronze,
easy to forget.
and the qualification in Costa Rica was silver. So for a little time we are training, he achieved a lot. And also the age, I can see he's not in age. So mostly at this age, the regular athletes, they are finishing career. I started my taekwondo around 25 years old, very late, already when it was ending. And he started when he was 28. So it's more difficult. Besides all that stuff, very good attitude, and you have to keep going. That is the only thing. Hard work, keep going. You're going to have very bad times, and also you're going to have very good times.
Yeah. Jessica, you could relate to what Luciano and Elliot are saying. Being from Bermuda, you were fortunate enough to be in Canada to have that opportunity to train with people, not necessarily in your class, but train with people that were in other classes and build get that kind of repetitious and competition type of training together. So, you know, how listening to both of them, how does that make you feel?
I mean, it's a little bit heartbreaking just to know that, you know, you don't have kind of the same resources that I've been very fortunate to be exposed to. And it's absolutely phenomenal job that you've gotten to where you are. And I think what you were saying, Luciano, about just continue fighting and continue believing in yourself and believing in your dream is what's you know, to where you want to go. And kudos to you for doing that. I think you guys have a great partnership.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, Elliot, for you, your first competition, can you remember what it was like? And do you remember how you fared in that?
The first one, I was extremely nervous. We actually we got there a little early, or what we thought was early. And so we thought we had, I think, like 40 minutes to like an hour of like getting ready time to like stretch a little bit. And like, I think it was 7 minutes into it, Luciano comes running up to me all hyped up, like, why aren't you ready? And I'm like, what do you mean? We can chill. And he's like, no, you got to be in front in like 5 minutes or else we're like out. And I was like, oh, okay. So I got to like put on everything. I was basically like hopping on one foot, getting ready, still like passing things like, yo, give me that. Let me make sure I'm ready. And then we got into the ring. And at that time, the only person who I really gotten a chance to fight was Luciano. And then suddenly I walked in and I see all these big dudes and like, oh yeah, we've been to a bunch of tournaments. This is nothing to us right now. And I'm just like, oh my God. All right. We're here. I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess the best way to get used to it is to just get thrown in with the Lions and duke it out, right?
Do you think that was probably the better way to do it instead of sitting there watching a few and then nerves build up?
Yes, I think that probably is the better way, because if we were like the second or third match, I think I would have watched them and part of me would have been like, okay, I'm kind of understanding how they're working, but I also would have been like, oh, did you see that? Ooh, I'm not sure if I can handle that. Like, Luciano, I know you taught me how to kick, but did you see what he just did? Like, I can't spin yet. I could barely do the front kick. Come on, like. So I could see how afterwards, seeing a couple matches, you'd get into like this nervous mode. But afterwards, I'm not gonna lie, as I was in it and I felt like, okay, we're here, we're in the fight, I was still nervous, but I was into it, if that makes sense. I was really like, okay, I'm here. If we're here, if we lose, whatever, but we're here, let's do it. Let's go.
Right. How did you get started? Because I know Jessica's story is she tried multiple different sports and has landed gold in the T53 Women's 100 and you know, the Americas region record holder in the 100. But how did you get started? What did you try other things before you got into Taekwondo?
It's actually a pretty funny story. So I fill up scuba tanks at home and I hydro test them. And Luciano is a scuba diver and he hunts lionfish. And before I even thought about doing taekwondo, I had considered getting into MMA, but I really hadn't known anything about fighting or anything. So I was like, okay, how do I like start? What sport do I fight to get like a beginning in? And then one day Luciano just came up to me. He was just pulled up out of nowhere, out of the balloon. He was like, "Hey man, do you want to fight taekwondo?" And I was just kind of like, "All right, taekwondo's a good base. Let's do it." And then he just disappeared for a year. And then he came back a year later and he asked me again. And I was like, dude, I said okay last year. So like I don't know it took you so long. But he came with a presentation and everything. He showed it to my family. And then I think it was like the week afterwards, we were already in the gym, or we're not in the gym. We were running on the beach at that time because I was way out of shape back then. But yeah, that's how we started. And now I don't even think about the MMA as much. Now I'm just kind of like, taekwondo, let's go.
Luciano, what did you see in him to offer him that opportunity?
First, in my defense, para taekwondo didn't exist in Aruba. I had to start all over. I had to start from zero. Okay.
This is true. I can confirm this for him.
The same year, I told you, I was a basic coach from the Olympic Committee from Aruba, not the Paralympic, but the Olympics. So I said, okay, I'm getting knowledge, so we can do the thing right. And I started moving all the papers to start para taekwondo. Yeah, that wasn't taking me so long. I thought in a few moments I'm going to start, but nothing happened. But that was the big issue, no? I lost my train of thought. What you asking?
I was asking, what did you see in him to offer that opportunity to get into the sport?
First, I saw that he was eligible. So he has he was a Melia, was perfect for for Paralympics. Actually, we have in combat, we have different categories, and for Tokyo, there are only going two. There are two that merge, and he was one of the big ones, one of the big categories. So I say he's perfect for that. Also, the type, the body type, tall, very tall. At that moment, he was a little more skinny. A year later, was 20 kilos extra.
Yeah.
So that was a little problem. But yeah, this is what I saw of him. But during the training, he's trying, he's keep going. I have pain, but he keep going. He has a little muscle pain or muscle pain or a lot, and keep going. He keep going. We're talking about the training pain, no, the really painful. He cannot do nothing, no. But he's keep going. He's tired. He keep going. Doesn't matter. Okay, let's do it. That is the attitude we need. You cannot say, no, I cannot. No, most of the athletes do it. No, I cannot anymore. And you know they can. You can push a little more. But no, he's keep going. He's keep going till he's breaking, no. But that's the attitude we need in combat sport, no.
Jesse sounds like the late Ken Tom, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
You could do
I
it.
was just thinking that.
Sitting there listening to him,
Yeah.
I could see Ken all over him.
Yeah, me too.
But just knowing that the challenges you faced, Jess, in your career, now you're getting to find out that maybe I'm not alone. Maybe there are others who have this problem, different categories, different fields, but the challenge is the same of finding that competition, finding that you have to challenge yourself more on a regular basis. But then when you get to a big meet or any meet, for that sake, here's a new challenge kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, the smaller countries, we're kind of used to having those challenges in our way and finding different ways to get around it. And I think kind of this year with coronavirus, I think the larger countries are kind of seeing a little bit more challenges as well, just for them as well, trying to get to competitions throughout this year hasn't been possible. So it's definitely going to be interesting, I think, going into Tokyo, just seeing on where everybody stands.
Yeah. Elliot, leading up to Tokyo, what is your schedule? What is your plan to once you arrive in Tokyo, you hit that ground running?
Right now we're just training. We recently just got a new physical trainer to help us out, and I can attest that she's good at what she does because we just like I think we just before this interview started, I got back home, and I can't really feel my legs right now. So she definitely is doing the job, and I might wake up tomorrow with some soreness and get to the gym and be like, "What have you done to me?" And she's gonna be like, "What I'm about to do to you again." And I'm gonna be like, "All right, let's do it. It's gonna suck, but let's do it."
Knowing the fact that, or feeling the pressure of having the weight of a country on your shoulders as the only athlete, how do you take that? How do you take that in stride?
Well, first you have to understand that I didn't really feel it at first because when we first we went to tournaments, like we went to the Pan Am tournament. I saw it was just kind of like it was big, but it wasn't like a whole stadium or anything like that. It was just kind of like, okay, here we are in a convention center. There's a group of people, we're fighting. And then we went to the World Championships, and that was huge. That was a lot of people too, and that's when I started looking at okay, cool. We're here representing us. And then the tournament where it really hit me, and I was like, okay, now I understand the weight of what's on me, was in Lima. Because when you do that walking intro, everyone has their own gang and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember, we had Argentina in front of us. Next to us was Barbados that had, I think, 1 or 2 athletes as well. And behind them was Brazil that had another, like, I don't even know. It was huge.
Yes.
And you see them walk in first and you're like, okay, we're going through this hallway. And then they're like, okay, you stand here, and you're just kind of like there by yourself. And then once you walk out and you saw, or in my case, I saw the like 50,000 lights and they're all flashing on me and everything. I was like, oh, okay. Ooh. Okay, yeah. I represent Aruba right now.
Right.
It becomes a very, very heavy sensation, but it's not necessarily a heavy sensation that I would call like a burden. It's definitely
Mm-hmm.
something I'm very proud of, and at times I will say it kind of weighs on me because I'm like, oh, I'm the person that's got to do this. I got to make sure that I can push. I got to make sure I can push. But sometimes that's not the best mentality. Sometimes you got to take a little rest because if you go too far, you're not going to be able to make it. You can also overtrain and do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a very strong sensation, is what I would say. It's yeah. I don't know how to describe it completely, but if you ever get a chance to have 50,000 people be like, yeah, for you, and you understand, oh, you'll feel exactly what I'm saying.
Well, the good thing, I actually was at the stadium for that opening ceremony when you would have walked in as well, because Jessica walked in or came in with the Bermuda flag. That would have been you coming into the stadium for the opening ceremony.
Yep.
But knowing what the challenges are, how I mean, how much time did you have from the opening ceremony to your first event?
We were the very, very last event of all of them. But because there was the opening ceremony, we had to come like a week early.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent our week in the village literally just like, okay, wake up in the morning, train, eat lunch, relax a little bit, late afternoon, train, eat dinner, maybe at night do like a little training, or maybe do kind of like some kind of like play basketball with some of the other teams, something more active to like socialize a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And besides that, yeah, just relaxing until the last day.
Right. Luciano, you have so much time from like Elliot was saying, the opening ceremony to the time you start that get him into that competition. How do you prepare him to make sure that he's calm enough over that period of time? Because you can get really bored at times. I mean, if you're not, after the environment is all we're one off and everything, but not getting into the ring, not fighting, and watching everybody else come back with medals, watching everybody else going out every morning to compete and all that. How do you keep him calm enough to be ready once that challenge starts?
Yeah, basically you keep it busy. For the training, you forgot to mention we have a physiotherapy also in the morning, massage after all the trainings. When you finish that, you already have to have dinner. When you have dinner, you have to go back to sleep. And also, we're very cold all us. You know what? We are living in a very nice warm climate, and we go in there dark, cold. So it was not really nice in that case. But you keep him busy. You have a routine. You keep going, talking a lot. We go looking places to training. We try to go to a school to training, for example, one to place to forever to go there, forever to come back, never again. We keep in training there in the villa. We find a spot and we put the training whatever we can train in the villa. But that's the way. It's have to get busy, motivate, talking with another athletes. We have also the another teams. We are like a family. You know that what is a Paralympic movement? It's not a Olympic. The Olympic is way more competitive, more aggressive. I think it's my feeling, no? On the Paralympics, it's like a big family. It's everyone's friends, and everyone will helping each other. That we also was helping for us to that long time to wait for the tournament for the event.
Yeah, Jess, I saw that for myself. I mean, everyone in the village is like a family, no matter what flag you were, representing and all that. It's more of a family-oriented atmosphere. Even before, during, and after competition, I know everybody wants to win and everybody wants to, but you still feel that sense of we're all in this together type thing. Is that how you feel once you enter into to any village?
Definitely. I mean, sport definitely brings so many different people together from all around the world, which is something that's so cool to be a part of. And I think, when we get into that environment, um, athletes just love to compete and they want to make sure that, everybody is at the level that they need to be at so that they can compete against them at their best. And I think just the love of sport just fuels everybody and just makes everybody come together.
Mm-hmm. Now, Elliot, what expectations do you have of yourself come Tokyo?
Uh, I I think I have a lot of expectations for myself already before that. Like, for example, I know that Luciano always says this. In our training, I'll kick the pads, for example, and I'm always just like, I'm not kicking hard enough. I'm not kicking hard enough, and he'll be like, "Oh no, you're kicking hard enough. Trust me, I know." And I'm just like, "No, I can feel it. Just I need more force." So I guess a lot of the goals that I have at the moment deal with getting stronger, being able to last a more amount of time actively kicking and whatnot. Um, I guess also one is getting used to being observed is a big one. I've noticed that maybe I hope I'm not the only one that this happens to, but it's a very different sensation when you're like training somewhere and you're like, okay, I got my friends or whatever, or it's just me and my coach, and like if you like mess up, whatever, you're practicing. But it's a very, very different sensation when you kind of have like a camera to the side and you got a stage of people looking at you. And it happens to me that I'll come in really calm, and then just before I get into the ring, I'll feel it. I'll be like, oh yeah, there's people here. I gotta hang on. Let me mentally reset real quick before I get up, and then when I get back up there, I'm like, okay, I'm back in it. Let's do this again.
Yeah. How much has Luciano helped you in just that, being able to calm your nerves and be focused once you get into competition?
He's helping pretty a lot. Like, we'll do a warm up or something, and after I do a warm up, he'll just be like, okay, like, do you have music, something? Do you got something to drink? Do you just sit back, relax, like meditate or something? Don't stress about anything. Only I only want you to think about the fight and how you're going to do good in the fight. That's it.
Mm,
And then
mm.
after that, we'll go to the staging area, let's say, do a little more reps or something. And it's just constantly the same thing, trying to keep me in a good mood. And then once I get out there, it's kind of like, all right,
Yeah.
this is what we came here for. Let's do it.
Yeah, definitely. Luciano, how long did it take you to understand not his talent, but his demeanor? Because obviously you want to make sure that you're able to control all sorts of things when you're a coach about your athlete to ensure that they don't go too far and become that much more nervous, become that much more overexcited and so forth. So how long did it take you to learn that about Elliot? And what are some of the things you do to ensure that he doesn't go too far either way?
Yeah. That I seen in the beginning, we started training. I started to learn about him, and also for me it was a new experience. I didn't train any before para athlete. Was my first, so I was very. I had to be very observe everything, see if you're doing this, what happened, like action and reaction all the time. No, I always am talking. He can tell you always I'm talking how you feel. Have pain. Okay, how is it pain? Always like that to see how much I can push because always every athlete is going to tell you, yes, I'm tired. But as a coach, you can push a little more. But on every para athlete, it's more difficult because you have to really listen and look if really you are in the limit, and then you have to back it up a little bit because you cannot push it to the breaking point, maybe have a burnout later. So it's always about observation, and the time is I'm still keep working. So now when doing new techniques, I have to look. Are we talking? It's a constant communication, and the way how I choose to do coaching, you have three ways to do it. One is I'm the boss, and you do whatever I want. The other one is more like democracy, democration. So we want to do this. What do you think about it? And another one is we have to do this. What do you think about it? But let's do it. So I'm working in between those two. I never do it like, yeah, you have to do this because I said to do it. Sometimes you go with a plan, with a training plan, and he has a bad sleep, has stomach problems, or some knee problem. Okay, let's switch. Let's do something else. It's how you have to always communicate. That is the main thing.
Okay, all right. Jess, you have any questions for Elliot?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite competition that you were part of and why?
Probably that Pan Am that I got that bronze medal in because that was the first medal I got, and I remember that I went to the first fight, and it was I think he was number ranked 7 at the time, and I think I was like 30, 40 something. So I'm like, oh, this guy's really, he's the hardcore guy. Like I'm not sure. And then we started fighting him, and I think it was in the middle of the second round. He like tossed in the towel, and I was like, what? No, what? No, what just happened? And then immediately, when you do something and then you gain confidence, but like you get this, like, yeah, I got that major confidence boost right in that moment, and then immediately I fought the guy that was ranked number 2 in the world, and because I had that confidence, I was like, all right, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna do what I need to do, and this guy destroyed me. Like I even got to the sidelines, like Luciano. I was like, yo, man, I am hurt. I am not sure I can stay in there with this guy, and he was like, you got a minute and a half. Don't just go in it, do it. Don't give up. And I stayed in there. It sucked, but that's my favorite moment specifically because, in a sense, the fighting gave me a moment of humility where it was like, okay, like you had your moment, but remember, there's probably always another person that's really good. So don't like either get better and make sure you're the top dog, or like be cool with like, all right, you know how to fight? Cool, I know how to fight too. We'll find out in the match who's better at that moment. Don't like come up and be like, I'm better than you because I'm this or that. It really, that moment is my favorite because it just hits you or hit me.
That's awesome.
Several times, right?
Yeah.
Several times. I definitely left that match bruised up, bunch of blue.
How often would you have to fight in a day?
In the tournaments, most of them were only like, if we were lucky, they were 2 days long, but most of them were only a day. So maybe you'd have to fight, depending on how many people were there, you'd have to fight maybe 2-3 matches in a day.
Oh well.
But also because sometimes there'd be an odd number of people, so they'd have an extra match, and depending on who got that, you maybe have to do an extra match. I think one person in one of the tournaments had to do 5 matches in one day. Wow. And it was basically like they fought, somebody else came up, they fought, somebody else came up, they fought. So they basically got their like 5-10 minutes rest between each match and then just kept rocking out.
Wow. Well, following the performance in the World Championship and all, where are you ranked now in your category?
I am not sure because I think at one point I was 24, then they bumped me up to 19, and then because of the corona, they did something with the point system, and I think I'm back at 24. So I'm not sure how they're gonna work it, but top 25.
Okay, congratulations on that. And how does the drawing go? Luciano, can you help me out with that? How does the drawing go for competition like that? Do they do the odds on one side, the evens on the other, and then match them up that way, or is it just pulling out of a hat to see who draws against who?
No, depends most about the points on the ranking. How is your points on the ranking, and what's your position in the ranking is how they make all the draws, depending on the people on the tournament and on the ranking on each one, and then start to make it. Of course, always you have the best ones, the tops on different nights, so they can find each other in the final. Right. So, for example, lefty, we call it lefty too. Elliot is lefty. In Lima, he got to fight with Brazil. Brazil was like the second or third match, but the next fight was a guy from first in the war, the guy from USA. So that reason we also can be lucky and go on the other side, where it's made more easy. But for us, always was getting difficult. We always getting the top people. But still, yeah, it's that you can fight maybe somebody who never had an experience, and the next fight you have the one who has all the experience in the world.
And Elliot, which one do you prefer, the high-ranking guys, or you want somebody that's kind of beneath you that you can get a start?
I think if you had asked me that when I started, I'd be like, yeah, the lower guys for sure. I wanna make sure that I can like do good and like get farther and make sure that I get the experience or not. But now that I've had a couple fights and I've had more chance to train and like do some weightlifting and whatnot, I get stronger physically. Now I'd probably more like, nah, bring me the stronger dudes. I want to be able to like test my mettle against them, see if I can be on their level, you know?
Yeah, well, I do want to thank you very much, both you and Luciano, for your time. Jess and I have discussed with others about, just giving some of the para athletes in the Americas region, especially the smaller nations, an opportunity to have some light shined on them, because I think what happens in the region a lot of times that you para athletes are left and only talked about when you go into these major events. And I honestly feel that you're just as equal as any other athlete preparing for the Olympics or any world championships or whatever it is. So, I
can actually give you a perfect example of what you just said. It was when we were doing the qualifiers for the Paralympics. I was there, and the same day, I think it was not the next day was the qualifiers for the normal Olympics, and apparently one of a photographer from Aruba had come to take photos and whatnot, and they started snapping photos of everything about the regular Olympic side. And I walked up to the guy and I was like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Taking photos of the guys. Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm the guy that's doing the Paralympics from your country. You're here to take pictures of me too, right?" He's like, "I didn't even know, man. Are you serious?" And then I was like, "Look, let me call." I called one of the other fighters that we trained with, and they were like, "Yeah, that's why else would he be here?" And that's when they were like, "Oh, well, then you guys stand together, and then we'll snap a photo." And if I remember, the article stated out that they were there for the Olympics, and then we happened to find a guy that was here for the Paralympics. I was kind of like, all right, but you guys as the sports people should have had like some kind of information or some kind of knowledge that we were here. And it goes to show that because there's only one of us or the two of us at the moment, and we're such from a small place, we get overlooked very, very quickly. And like you're saying, it's not just us. It happens very often in other places, I would assume too, where you have athletes that are just really working hard for it, and they would love to get recognition, which would push them further, but there's no one there to be like, "Hey man, you're doing good." Yeah.
Well, we're hoping to shed some light on that with these discussions, and they're going all over. So hopefully it does bring a more awareness to para athletes or athletes as well. Okay.
Most definitely. Like I said,
right.
Thank you very much for doing this. And thank
you.
For
well, I want to thank you and Luciano and Jess. We'll see you soon.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us.
You'll enjoy your night.
Thank you so much.
Guys.
Bye.
Later.